10 Christmas decorations from scrap denim. Hello everyone, I'm Caroline and today we're going to make some Christmas decorations. And I fancied making some denim ones to go on a white tree. I think the contrast will be lovely. So I went to the charity shop where they do 5 items for £1 because nobody loves these things anymore. Nobody wants to buy them. So I bought them. I got a dress. As you can see, I've already started cutting into these. And a couple of pairs of jeans. So these are all bits and pieces, but we're going to take these bits and pieces that don't look much and they're jeans with holes in, zips not working, falling apart, and make them into something really lovely for Christmas. So, no time for chatting, let's get on with crafting. For this denim craft, I cut myself out a petal shape. You can cut out any sort of petal you like. You can do a poinsettia, you can do something like this, which looks a little bit more like a leaf, but I like it. Even round ones. So I've made myself a card template, drawn around it on the piece of denim, and now cut it out. You can use a pinking shears if you want frilly edges on these. I'm using straight because I am going to edge this with something else. I got this lovely pipe cleaner here. It's cute, isn't it? Stripey one. So I'm going to edge this leaf with the pipe cleaner. So I'm just going to fold it in half. So I've got a nice point for the top. Otherwise, it's very difficult to bend it when you're gluing it. And then glue it into place. Now I'm going to bend these little pieces of pipe cleaner upwards, like that. Then I'm going to add some glue to the bottom there and on the one side of this, like that, just because I don't want too much glue on. And then bring that around and put a clip on it. And do that with 5 petals in total. I figured out a quicker way of doing this. If you twist your little pieces of pipe cleaner, squash them into place, they'll help you hold the piece of denim in place. And then you can pop a little bit of hot glue front and back. When you're happy with it, pop a clip on it. When they've cooled down, pop the little clip off the end, chop the sticky out bit off. And do that on all 6. Now we want to glue them 3 together at a time, with the points joining like that. So how I do it is run some hot glue, quite a thick bit down there, and then stick these on either side. Oh, that's hot. Like that. Don't forget to hold them in place until the hot glue cools, otherwise they'll just ping off. And then a little blob of hot glue halfway up each petal, just to hold the flower together a bit better. Then do the same for the bottom half. Run of hot glue down the middle. One to the one side. One to the other side. And hold them till they cool. And then join the petals. Now you can join the 2 halves of flower together. So if there's any excess you can trim off, then do that because they'll lie a little bit more flush. Pretty good. And then on with a bludge of hot glue and pop them together. Hold them till they're set again. And now halfway up each petal, a little bit more hot glue on the 2 that are not joined. One that side and one this side. Take a pipe cleaner. Now I didn't have a normal straight one, I only had one of these bobbly ones, so I trimmed it a little bit. Pop some hot glue on. There, nice big wudge. Pop your pipe cleaner over the top. Then cut yourself a piece of scrap denim, which I have everywhere. My desk and my floor is covered in bits of denim. This has been a very messy craft to do. Pop a bit of denim over the top, just to give it a better seal, and then make sure that's glued firmly on. Like that. Now turn it back over and we just need to put a little bit of decoration on. Now I'm trying to keep all the decoration in blue or white. I could put little bits of greenery and things on, but I don't want to. I think it's going to spoil the look. Snowflake, star. Snowflake, star. Snowflake. I'm not very good at making decisions. A little bit of hot glue. And pop it on the middle to hide all the nasty bits of glue that you can see. And that's done. You've got a few options you can do with these. For this one I use pipe cleaners, but I've also made some more. Now this one I've made using some rope. It's one I've taken off something else I've made, so it was a little bit unravelled, so I twisted it as I was going. And then in the same way as I put the pipe cleaners sticking up here, I put the bits of rope sticking up and then trimmed them off when it was finished. So I've got that one, and I've also got this one. Now I made these balls by using this. You get tons of this when you're cutting denim and shredding denim. So I just rolled it into a ball and then used the straggly ends to wrap around to make it even tighter. It was much bigger than this, obviously. And then glued it into place. One in the centre of each leaf, one in the middle, and then added some cute little bells. Right, let's go see what these look like up on my tree.
It's cold outside, but the fire keeps us warm. We can spend.
I got this. It's a bit of a leg off the pair of jeans. I've made a template of a feather shape. Pop it onto my jeans, trying to keep the grain of the jeans running level with the template. Just do your best. You can fiddle around afterwards, then draw around it and cut it out. And you end up with one of these. Ooh, isn't that exciting? But now we're going to do something clever to this. At first it'll be quite easy to do. We're going to fray both sides, so you can just pick off the ends and they'll come away quite easily. Take your time doing this, because if it gets jammed because you pull too many, you need to sort out which ones are the top ones and pull those first. See there, it's got a bit jammed. Figure out which is the top one, pull that off, and then the rest come away easily. And then work your way right the way down, and when it gets a little bit deep to find some edges, take your pokey thing, and then you can just pop that in and pull like that and work your way down. Do this until you're almost halfway, about half a centimetre away from halfway. Then do the other side. I like to do that a bit on the one side, a bit on the other, and keep going from side to side. And that way then I'm just sure it's going to be central. And as you can see, the way that is, I didn't cut it straight on the grain, but you can trim that afterwards. When you get that middle piece, you can see what you're doing. So just carry on shredding and shredding your piece of jeans fabric until you've got this. If your point doesn't come into the centre, which mine didn't, being honest, cut your point where you need it to be on the centre of this thick rib, and then trim the rest of the feather shape right the way down, like that. Now you will find with denim there's a light side and a dark side. The inside is generally lighter. So decide if you want a darker feather or a lighter feather. I think I'm going for a darker one. So I'll put the light on the inside, out with a wire, and take out some of this florist tape. If you've got white wire, you'll be fine. But if you haven't, then you need to cover your wire really. So I'm going to take this florist tape. It's very clever. You don't need to put glue on. When you stretch it, it activates some sort of wax inside it and it sticks. I'm still relatively new to doing this, so it is a lot easier than I make it look. Slightly stretch and turn like that, covering the whole of the wire, and it'll make the wire suit whatever colour you're making. You can buy brown, green. It's very difficult to get hold of it sometimes because especially the white is very popular at Christmas time and for weddings. Finish it off, and it does feel a little bit sticky. You may get a bit of stickiness on your hands. Decide which way up you want your feather. I've tapered this off a bit longer. Make it just look a little bit more feather-like. Using your hot glue, put a run of hot glue down your feather, and then add your wire, which is easier than it sounds. I find this very fiddly. And there you got yourself a feather. And I've made a few of these, as you can see. I don't want to show you on the one I just glued because it's a little bit temperamental until the glue is completely set. But once you've got your feather like this, you can just slightly bend it down to give it a lovely bit of movement. So let's pop over to my tree and see what they look like.
And I've gotten you a present that I put under the tree. Tomorrow it is Christmas, the first for you and me.
If you're enjoying this denim Christmas decorations craft, then don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and why not subscribe? We've got lots more videos coming right up until Christmas and further on into next year and the next. Oh, it's such fun crafting. I really love it. Right, back to crafting. For this Christmas craft, I've got a pool ball and I've got a circle of denim fabric I cut. It hasn't got to be perfect, as you can see, mine certainly isn't, and you can cut it with a pinking shears if you want to. Take your ball. This is my least favourite colour of ball, so I'm using that one. Pop it in the middle, get yourself a pipe cleaner and pick this up, and you're almost getting like a Christmas pudding effect. Right, so there we go. All done up like a Christmas pud. Pop on your pipe cleaner. You can tie this with twine, but I wouldn't fancy it. I think it would be too difficult unless you're using a thinner denim. You've got the thicker denim and you've also got a thinner one, which is quite cotton-like, and it's called chambray. Now that's a lot easier to deal with. Open out the top of your bauble. I've got this hanger I took off another bauble. There always seems to be something poking this way. What's that? There we go. Right, clean up at least what you can see. As is usual, Christmas is always a terrible mess on my desktop. Get yourself some glue, poke it in the hole, and then poke your hanger in. I've got these lovely stars. They're polystyrene covered in like a glittery snow effect. But they stick out too much on the back, so I use whatever I need to do. Sometimes some of them are soft enough to use your fingers. Other times you need a scissors. Just take the back off if you've got this. Otherwise they stick out far too far. Add some hot glue. Pop on my star. Now get out an assortment of whatever colour decorations you're going to use and pick the ones you like. Try them out, see what they look like. And then when you think, oh yes, I like that, glue it into place. And look at that, a really easy denim bauble made from a pool ball and some old jeans. So I've got this one, and I've made this one, which is a pool ball. I just wound it around with lots of jean seams. You can see the little seams off the jeans. I used a jean seam to make the hanger. I cut a long piece for the hanger, let bits hang down and put little pom-poms on the end. And then a little woolen bow at the top, or it's like a chenille yarn. And there's another one. This one is a patchwork one. It looks a bit hippie-ish, I think, with all the patches on it. And I didn't try to make this look perfect because I like the hippie look of it. And then stuck an eccentric flower on the front. And I also, using another pool ball, did the same thing, but I tried making this look a little bit more linear. I kept putting little bits of seams up and down, but in different colour denims, and then I got some wool and tried to be even as I came down in a spiral. It didn't quite work, but it's even enough for me. I'm happy, and as long as you're happy with your craft, that's all that matters. So 4 really different baubles, all made from denim and pool balls. Let's see what these look like up on my tree. This denim Christmas decoration craft, I'm using a couple of little bits of seam. You can use just about every bit of a pair of jeans if you're cutting them up, or dress, or whatever it is. Look at me, I've got bits of hot glue everywhere. Add a little bit of hot glue and start rolling. Now, when you're cutting your jeans, you can make the decision how close to the seam you actually want to cut. The further away you go, the more shabby it'll look. But that's not a bad thing. It just depends on the look you're going for. I cut this one quite tight. And you've also got the option to leave it a bit longer and then fray it all on the edges, and then you have a really frayed, shabby looking one. When you've got it started, you can then do it down on the desk. But getting it started is a little bit fiddly to start like this. Just roll it up and up until it's as big as the bauble you want. As you can see there, one isn't going to be enough. That's a bit small for a Christmas tree decoration. Well, for a bigger tree, it's a bit small. So I just get another piece and join it on. And then keep winding. I've got a bit of seam here that's very narrow, so I'm going to cut that little strip of fabric off it. And I'm going to use this as a hanger. Over the join there, put a bit of glue, come that way. Lift up your loop. I think that loop may be a bit big. I'm going to shorten it. And then bring the other end of the loop up to where the edge is and butt them together there. So you can see it hides the little step. And now you've got a bauble. You can keep that as a simple bauble if you want. You can pick which side you like the best. I'm going to add a little something on it. First thing I'm going to do is come around the outside with some of these beads on a roll. They're half beads on a roll. One thing I like about making your own baubles is you can use all the ideas that are in your head. You can take all your craft bits and pieces and pick your favourite ones and use those. There are no rules. It's what you fancy and you can really express yourself. And in the centre, I'm going to add another one of my little snowflakes. You can put whatever you like. You can put a little floral arrangement. If you're having a multicoloured tree, you can put any colour you like on. It's because I'm colour theming, I'm sticking to the white. But again, just express yourself. And chop that little bit of fabric off there. It's sticking out a bit too much for me. There we go. So there you've got yourself a Christmas bauble, denim, just off a scrappy pair of jeans, and it's just the old seam. But I made some others to show you too. I've made this one. It's thicker because it's made from jeans, whereas this was from the chambray dress. You can see this side looks quite like a rose, but I wanted the smooth side. I added some pearls around here and a lovely little fluffy snowflake. I also did this one, which has got a little bit of tinsel and some snowballs and a bow. I made this one with a church and a star and a bow. And this one, which has just got a couple of little pearls, a bow and some little bits of florally pick around the outside. So look how different they look, and they're so easy. There is no difficult part of this. It's all very simple, very easy, very quick, and lots and lots of fun. So let's see what these look like on the Christmas tree. For this easy Christmas decoration craft, I'm going to use a cardboard triangle, very important, and 2 different colour denims from 2 different pairs of jeans. Now this one is stretchy, but it doesn't really make any difference to this craft at all, whereas this one isn't. So taking my little triangle, I turn over the fabric and draw a gazillion triangles. An equal amount on both pieces of fabric. And then cut them out. Cut yourself an inch piece of denim. Now you can iron this if you wanted to. I've left it a little bit scrappy looking. As you can see, you end up with loads of this cotton bits that you can use for different projects if you're so inclined, or you can just throw it away. This denim is very messy, and I would say if you're going to tear rather than cut, if you've got asthma or something like that, any breathing issues, I wouldn't do that because I have dust everywhere. You wouldn't believe the amount of dust that came off these jeans. Even though I washed and tumble dried them to clear a lot of the fibres out, there was still a lot of fibre left. Get your piece of inch wide denim, fold it in half on the one edge, then get your triangle. Now my triangles are designed to hang in one direction, so you have to be careful you don't put them the wrong way. Now I put a little bit of hot glue there and then pop my triangle in, a little bit of hot glue on top of the triangle, and fold it over and press. And I'm leaving 2 inches between that one and the next flag, so come across 2 inches with some hot glue, fold it down, then take a different colour flag, bit of glue, pop down my flag, add another bit of glue, and then go back to the other colour. Now if you've got 4 or 5 different shades of blue, you could just alternate all of those too. And if you want more, you can always use, as you can see, that side's that colour, that side's that colour. So you've got actually 4 different shades when you're using these. And glue it on, and if your fabric isn't long enough, which it probably isn't, depending on how long you want your little garland to be, you can always just glue another piece onto the end and just carry on going until you've got the length of garland that you want. And here is my garland. Now you can add other things onto this if you want to. You can add a little bit of lace along the top. You can add some buttons to each little flag or a little decoration. You can fray things as much or as little as you fancy. But I'm going to leave them like this. I got a few ends to tidy up, and then I'm done. And let's see what this looks like up on my Christmas tree. This denim Christmas decoration craft, you'll need a pocket and also some bits and pieces. We'll look into those in a minute. First thing you have to do is attach a hanger onto this pocket. So turn it over out with some hot glue and just glue it to the back, either end of the top of the pocket. If you want to, you can cut yourself a really nice bit. You can sew it, you can edge it. You can put some zigzag sewing on your machine to make it look pretty in a different colour. I'm just going for something plain. And now I'm going to sort of break my rule because I wanted these to be all blue and white. But this little piece of doily here, snip some of the hanging ends off, is more of a cream. But I fancy putting this on, so there's no harm in breaking your own rules. Put a few little blobs of hot glue on to start. Pop it in the middle and then you can add glue then when you know exactly where it's going. Now, to make this look like it's got something in it, I'm going to pop a little bit of polyfill in the bottom. You can either buy this or do as I do, buy yourself cheap cushions from the thrift store. And now I'm just going to add a few little decorations. So first thing to put in, I've got these little fluffy bits. You can see they've already come off an old decoration. Still got bits of tinsel on them, but that doesn't matter because they go in right in like that. You can't see that bit. I think I'll put my flower in next. I got this flower. I don't think that's long enough to fit in, so I'm going to glue this in place instead. So I'm going to take this bit off. It all depends how permanent you want these things to be. If you want to reuse all your bits and pieces, then don't glue them into place. Well, not very strongly anyway. Pop that in there. Oh yes, I like that. And then I'm just going to add a few stars. And because these won't be here, I'm just going to pop a little bit of hot glue on them from the back to make sure they stay put. I've got this pom-pom here. Let's try this in. That's better. Just needed a little something. So I've got this pocket, and I also made a different one so you can see that you can try a few different things. This one I filled with poinsettia flowers. There's a little dog on the front, and up there you can't see. I put a little bit of lace on the top of the pocket. So 2 lovely easy Christmas decorations made out of denim. And let's see what these look like up on the tree. Denim Christmassy decoration, I'm going to take this boot-shaped piece of cardboard. Get yourself some cheap card or paper. Keep trying until you're happy with the shape you want, and then trace it on some thicker cardboard. This is just a cheap piece of cardboard. It doesn't need to be an expensive piece of cardboard. Don't go buy an expensive card from a craft store. Just whatever you can get your hands on, cereal packet, anything like that. Using glue stick, glue the boot to a piece of denim and then cut around it. And then check if you've got any floppy bits. We can't be doing with floppy bits. Add a little bit more glue, stick them on a bit tighter. Then glue the other side of your bit of cardboard. You haven't got to do this if you're not worried at all that there's going to be anybody seeing the back, or if you're going to be sticking it on a card or something like that, using it in your journal, then that would be fine. But if you're going to be putting it on a tree, you never know when our tree is going to swirl around and reveal the back to the world. So I always like to do the back for Christmas tree decorations. glue that into place. I don't worry about which way the grain is running on the fabric when I do this. I think it'll be fine. And then cut around again. You can't trace around the fabric and then glue the fabric onto the card. Oh, that is very difficult to get accurately done and very fiddly. I just find this so much faster. And there you got your boot. And I'm going to come around the edge like that using hot glue. And this is fiddly. I would like to say, oh, this is really, it is easy, but it's fiddly. It's not difficult. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to do it. But you do need a lot of patience. It's well worth it. And I don't know if you remember, a few videos ago I said, what would you like for Christmas? And I said, I would like somebody to invent a really clear hot glue that when it was dry was invisible. Well, I've got another invention I'd like somebody to make now, if there are any inventors out there. A glue gun that puts a very, very, very fine bead of hot glue on things. I think I'd make less mess that way, but I can't be sure. Now I'm going to leave enough for a loop and then cut that off. Glue that into place. Now that I think is pretty enough all on its own, but I'm going to add a bit more decoration. I'm going to put this little bit of lace that I've got here along there, and I think I'll come round the back as well if I've got enough. Let's see. Am I going to make it? Oh, look, nearly. It'll be enough. I'm going to stretch it. Don't tell anybody. Oh, by stretching it, it did actually go all the way around. So now I'm going to take this button, I've just chopped the back off, and I'm going to glue that on, just because I think it'll suit it perfectly. Which way? Definitely that way. Blob of hot glue. Where would we be without hot glue? Pop that into place. Now you can fiddle with this more, you can add more decorations, anything you like, but I love that the way it is. But I've also made a few more to show you. Surprise, surprise. I've got this one which I put a little bit of glitter around the edges, and I used some lace to make a little heel and toe in the sock, and this is a little bit of glitter foam. This one I made some go in one way, some the other. I thought it would add a bit of variety to the tree. This has got more of that lace, some on the top as well, and a few little buttons. I cut the shanks off and put those on. I made this boot with a little bit of lace coming out the back, and this is cotton wool. Just to show you that you don't need to buy expensive fur fabrics. This was one cotton wool ball that I unrolled. And I went around the edge of this one with some white furry chenille wool or yarn. And then a little bit of lace on the top. And a poinsettia flower on the front. So it just goes to show again. Use your imagination, see what you can come up with. Look at that. These bits are everywhere. Right, let's see what these look like up on my Christmas tree. I took a piece of denim off the leg of a jean and I cut it into... Oh dear, it's all the dust from these is terrible. And I cut them into about, what do you say that was, ½ inch? About 1/4 to ½ inch strips. Not very wide, but I tore them up as far as the seam and left them on because it just keeps them all together. And then you can take them off as you need them. Cut 3 lengths off. And all the associated raggedy bits, because I think that adds to the charm of this. Folding them in half and cutting them again. So in total, if you wanted to make the same size as me, then these are about 10 inches long. Fold them in half, take another piece of denim and wrap it at the halfway stage and tie a knot in it. Now I'm going to get a bunch of these little raggedy bits again, and I'm going to roll them up and then keep wrapping them round, and all the little end bits that stick out, and try and form a circle, open out this, pop it in the middle, and then pull the strands down over it, and it'll just make the top of this little tassel a bit fatter. And it also uses up more bits and pieces. So if you're into using every scrap that you can find, it's perfect. Get yourself another piece, glue it into place, and wrap tightly around a few times. You can do this with twine if you wanted to, or if you've got some white yarn, something like that. For this project, for the way I'm doing it, I think the denim looks better. Give them a little bit of brush out, Then decide how long you want your tassel to be, and that will all depend how close together the branches on your tree are, because if they're really close, then it's no good having a really long one. It just won't dangle downwards very well. If you've got a real Christmas tree or something with similar branches, you will have long gaps between the branches, and that way you can make longer ones. Now you can again leave it like that or add a little bit of decoration. Well, you know me, let's add a bit of decoration. Tie myself a little two-loop bow, and then I'm going to glue that onto the front of the tassel. There. And for this one, I think that's going to be enough. But of course, there are options to decorate them differently, and of course I have made a few to show you. I've made this one exactly the same, it's just it's got a little silver bow on it to add a little bit of oomph. And this one, I added a pearl to it, and I added a row of these little stick-on diamonds all the way around. And then I thought, oh, I've got a few left. So I stuck those on the pearl as well. Why not? So there are 3 different sorts. If you wanted to, you could be adding bits of white lace in the bottom, that sort of thing. There are just so many alternatives to doing these. This is the look I was going for. So let's see what these look like up on my Christmas tree. Oh, I am enjoying this Christmas craft. I hope you are. I just realised I filmed a whole craft of making an angel and I hadn't turned my camera on. So let's make another angel. So I've cut myself 2 pieces of chambray, 12 by 12 and 15 by 8. So on the 12 by 12 bit, I'm going to add a little bit of decoration to the bottom. I'm going to use this, isn't that gorgeous? A little bit of hot glue and pop it into place like that. Trim the edges and then wreath up the top of this to look quite even, and make sure the outside pieces are facing backwards. Take your pipe cleaner and bring it around from the front to the back. Make sure you tie it at the back. Give it a couple of twists. Now these are going to be the wings, so I've decided I'm going to round the edges of these, but you don't need to. I'm going to try something different because this is another attempt at doing the same thing. I don't know if it'll work. I haven't tried this before, but we'll give it a go. And now I'm going to scrunch this up like that. Take your body, not your body, your angel's body. Move the pipe cleaner so they're facing one up, one down. Decide which way you want your wings to go. Not sure now. That way or that way? That way, I think. Put them in place and fix them with your pipe cleaner. Chop your pipe cleaner off. And then chop as much as you dare off the top of the dress. Like that. Cut a piece of lace and put it over the pipe cleaner. And then pop some hot glue on your angel's head. And pop it on the top of the lace, and that hides the join. And now on my very last bit of my very last silver pipe cleaner. So hopefully this halo will look big enough. Perhaps she's just a beginner angel, so she's only got a little halo. Turn her over first. Let's get a hanger on. There we go. Now the hanger's in place. It's easier to see what we're doing. A little bit of glue on the back of the head and push the hanger onto it. We'll hold her head up when she's hanging and then pop the halo in place and a tiny bit more hot glue just to be sure it stays put. Like that. But of course she's not the only one, so let's have a look what other ones I made. This is the one I just made to show you. I wasn't keen on this one. I thought the wings were too floppy without anything other than the chambray fabric, so I didn't like that. And I made this one, and I think she's my favourite. See what I've done with that one. I was thinking, why is that skirt so long? I put the rectangle the wrong way, so I've got the long end down instead of all the wreathing. That's what they're supposed to look like. Unless you want a longer dress, adjust those measurements to whatever size angel you want to do. So there we go. 3 angels made from old pairs of jeans, or this is an old denim dress. So let's see what these look like on my tree. For the top of the tree, we're going to need an angel. So I've got this piece of cardboard. I've just roughly cut it out in the right shape for making a cone. It's just a thin piece of card. You don't want anything too thick because otherwise you won't be able to fold it or roll it. And then make yourself a nice cone. It can take a while to get it the size you want. Keep persevering. And this doesn't need to come to a fine point because you're going to need the head on. So that's fine for me. Pop a little bit of hot glue there. And when that's cooling, I'm just going to put a staple or two down the bottom to hold it in place. Now I can let it go. It's much easier to glue. Lots of hot glue down there. And then squash it into place. Try not to burn your hands. First of all, I trim down the cone and then I'm going to cover it with fabric. So I'm going to try this with Scotch glue stick. I think it'll work. And it's a lot easier than trying to stick fabric with a hot glue gun. I'm going to chop a bit off the top of the cone. Pull the fabric back up and poke it in the top. Always use the right tool for the job. That's why I'm using the pliers to poke this in. And roughly trim the inside and then fold up any excess up inside the angel's skirt. Now I'm going to decorate this. The back of it's a bit messy, but we won't tell anybody. Nobody'll notice. It's not as if anybody's seen it. Well, other than everybody who's watched this video. Right, so come around with some pretty lace, whatever lace you got. No rules and regulations for this. Use what you got and what you feel like using. Shred yourself some little pieces of chambray. Get your ping pong ball. Now this one's off another project. As you can see, it's a little bit broken, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to push it in a little bit anyway. I'm going to put a load of glue on here and see if I can get this. May work, may not. To stick in and on, if you see what I mean. Make sure you've actually got your angel stood up when you do this because it's so easy to have her with a tilted head if you're not careful. Take yourself 4-inch pieces of the fine chambray strips that you've cut, fold them in half and glue them along that line facing forward. This is going to form her fringe. And as you come to the sides, angle them down a little bit so the last piece is actually straight down, the way a fringe would naturally drop. The further down the head you come, the less long they have to be because they're going to be all trimmed level and they're lower, if you see what I mean. So they've already got a head start on the ones that are coming all the way from the top. So there you've got a crazy fringe. Now, go to the back of the head and make sure it's central. And draw a line from the top right the way down the back. And now you want to take much longer pieces. I'd say about 10 inches long for this. Cut yourself quite a few of those. Find out where the halfway line is and then put that on a line of glue that's going right down the back of the head. You may find it easier at this point to not put glue right the way down. I haven't, in case I run out of little bits of fabric and then I've got to cut some more. And then it'll go cold and then I'll have to put more on. Disaster. So now she looks a bit like this, which is a bit crazy. Not to worry. Next thing I'm going to do is to trim her fringe. Make sure you don't trim any of the back bits. And don't cut it too short at first. You can always trim it short. And now you can either leave her hair long or you can put it in braids. So I'm going to see what it looks like in braids, see if I like it. I don't know if I will. Oh, I think she's going to look pretty with braids, so I'm keeping those. Now some glue to make sure she doesn't have any baldy bits. And to glue her fringe down a bit further down onto her forehead, because that way then she'll look a bit neater. And now I'm going to put a ruffle around her neck to cover the join. A little bit of hot glue and wrap some lace around. Because my ping pong ball's a bit damaged, I'm going to pick it up a bit higher so you can adjust this to cover the bits you want it to cover. Remember, when you're crafting, you're in charge. Push things into place, give them a tug, whatever you need to do to make them look good. Now I cut 2 strips of fabric, 3.5 by 1.5 inches. I've got myself a pipe cleaner. That is going to go in the middle, and then I'm going to fold over the one piece of fabric and then glue the other on top there. I'll stick a little bit of glue in there so that I don't lose my pipe cleaner as well. We don't need a lot. Nobody's going to be swinging on your angel. Line of hot glue all the way down. And glue it on. And then cut off the pipe cleaner. And add a little bit of braid along that bottom end with some hot glue. And then I'm going to put enough hot glue in there to hold the end of the pipe cleaner and the fabric onto a little bead. This is a pearl bead. Poke it up inside like that. And then do exactly the same with the other one. Now I'm just going to fold the very edge of the top of the arms flat like that. And then I'm going to glue them to the back of her head. Or the back of her shoulders rather than her head. I suppose you could make these all in one. But I don't know whether you'll manage to get the angle right if you do that. And then stick the other one on. You haven't got to worry about this being a bit of a mess because her wings are going to be covering that. So this angel's going to be holding a star. So I'm going to pop some glue on the front and glue the star into place. Like that. Sorry, I'm wandering off camera then. And then a little bit of glue on the arm. Whoops. Hold my star in place. A little bit of glue on the arm. And then glue the hand holding the star. Like that. And then do the same with the other hand. I've got this lovely deco mesh ribbon, so I'm going to work out how big I want her wings to be. This is the sort of thing, it's no good giving you strict measurements on because you never know until you're actually assembling your angel what size wings she's going to need. So these in total are going to be 7 inches across. I'm going to squash them in the middle. Use a pipe cleaner to join them. And then glue these into place on the back of her neck where her arms are, and it'll completely hide the join then, like that. And I'm just going to trim the ends of her braids because they're a little bit too uneven, I think. There, that's better. Now you can add a face if you want to. I like the fact she hasn't got a face. I think it looks quite interesting. But if you want to put one on, just draw one on. Or you could use a bead perhaps, if you've got a big enough bead with a face already on. So I'm just going to hold this for a few more seconds until that hot glue is cool. And then we'll go and see what this looks like up on my tree. Well, what a mess, but wasn't that fun? I thoroughly enjoyed making these crafts out of denim. What do you think? Would you go for a themed tree like this, or would you rather have a bit of everything? Let me know what type of Christmas tree you prefer to have. Don't forget to subscribe because there are lots more videos coming your way, and there's going to be a lot of fun coming up to the Christmas season and throughout next year. Who knows what's coming? Lots of crafts, lots of goodies to watch. And I'd love you to come along on the journey with me. I'll see you all next time. But until then, don't forget, happy crafting and have fun. Bye.